All right, guys. So I have never tried this before. So I've got like my little AirPods, and I'm hoping that these are working. So as you guys pop in, I'm going to pull it up on my phone too and see if it is working. So let me know if you guys can hear me, because what I wanted to do was I'm not going to be sitting right here. I'm going to be sitting back there to show you guys how I'm doing these exercises and actually talk you through everything. So let me pull this up on my phone. I was hoping to use my AirPods as my microphone today. So let's see. Awesome. It is live. So just hopefully, I'm going to sit over here. We're doing a little troubleshooting, guys. So hopefully you can still hear me over here. Let's see. Hopefully, I'm going to sit over here. We're doing a little troubleshooting, guys. So you can probably hear this too. Sorry, guys, but bear with me. Because, see, I've never quite done this one before. Oh, now it's paused. What's the deal? I hope it's not paused for you guys. Let's see. Cool. All right. Well, it seems like I can hear it okay with this. So hopefully you guys will be able to hear me well. If you can't, the comments should be popping up over here so I can see them. So what we're going to do today, of course, we're starting off with the core challenge day 1. Bear with me, guys. I have a lovely head cold, so I'm sorry if I'm not like super energetic and I sound kind of crummy, but it's going to be fun. I'm really excited to share this with you guys. So what I will do, because I'm not going to be able to and it's going to be annoying, right, if I get up and look at the comments back and forth and back and forth. So I'm going to take you guys through the basic content that I wanted to share with you today. And then I will come back over here and look through your questions, and that way we're still live and I can take you through anything that you had questions on, show you any modifications that you need or whatever. So hopefully you guys are all coming in. I hope you're able to join me live. I'm going to go ahead and I think tag you all. Well, some of you anyway. Here we go. So let me know, guys, if you have done this one before. Obviously, we're doing kind of some new content. It's still similar to previous times I've done this. But let's see. I would love to know if you've done this before and how it went for you. If you've done it before, what you're hoping to learn that might be different this time, if you're wanting to kind of expand or kind of get a refresher, let me know on those. And then if you've never done this one before, I would love to hear what you're most excited to learn. Because obviously this is a little different. If you guys have followed me for any length of time, you should hopefully know that this is going to be a little different from a standard core challenge. We're not doing like a 30-minute feel the burn kind of thing. Today is going to be probably the most different from what you might be expecting. I see 2 of you guys are on, so let me know who you are. Drop me a little heart or a like and pop into those comments for me and just say hi so I know you're here. And we're going to get this started here in just a sec. I'm tagging everyone that I know had confirmed was going to be here because I don't want you guys to miss it, especially since this is when I'm doing the live Q&A stuff. So my goal, hi Amina, so I guess I didn't need to tag you guys, but I'm being really slow. It's kind of hard to tag people and talk at the same time, especially when you have a head cold. So, okay, let's see. I got 3 more people. Hang on. So, yeah, hi, Amina. I'm so happy you're here. Let me know how you're doing. Today is all about the good stuff that you and I had talked about anyway. This is the good stuff for you. So, okay, there we go. Everyone's tagged that I know had confirmed wanted to be here. So, awesome, great. So, and I think someone else is here. I see a little live or a little eyeball. You know, the eyeball and the live thing. Okay. Anyway, so hi guys, welcome to day 1 of the core challenge. So as you pop in, just let me know that you're here because I can't see who is watching unless you actually say hi. Thank you, Facebook. So today and over the course of this challenge, our goal is to help you really start healing and strengthening your core, but from the inside out. Most core challenges really focus on the outside in. They really just only focus on those external muscles, you know, the six pack, right? The six pack, you want the tight waist. You can do all of those exercises and still never see the results that you want and still deal with like pain or injuries and just not being able to progress your fitness because you haven't done the inner work. So, you know, we talk about like inner work on like your inner personal work, but this is like literally inner work. We're going deep into your inner core on this one. So that's the goal, is to really start healing and strengthening your core from the inside out, because that's the way that you get the relief from the neck pain, the hip pain, the shoulder pain, the back pain, all this stuff. And I even mentioned in some of the posts that I've done over the last few days how, like as a corrective exercise specialist, a lot of the dysfunction that I see people having, like even as far away as like the ankle, I can usually trace it back to issues with the core. So that's why I love doing this challenge. So just as a quick recap, some of the things you can expect when you start actually implementing the stuff you'll learn this week. You can expect to find some relief from any pain and discomfort that you might have been experiencing, especially if you work on the stuff from today and tomorrow. These are really the big ones. You're going to start healing your core both from, like, if you have had children at any point in your lifetime, even if you're like 20, 30 years postpartum, they're like healing the core is just not something that is taught for new moms. So that's one of the things that we cover in this. This is very applicable, very safe. If you do have concerns, like if you are pregnant or you are newly postpartum, let me know so I can be sure to share any pertinent information for you, because stuff like day 4 and 5 are probably, unless you've already got a really well-conditioned core, they might not be appropriate for you depending on where you're at with your baby cycle. So also, if you have done a lot of high impact sports, it's also very common for your core to have taken a pretty solid beating. So this is going to help heal from that. I have notes, so sorry if I'm looking away. It's because I have notes, because I could not trust my brain to actually remember everything I wanted to share with you guys. You're going to come away with this able to finally breathe when you exercise, especially during cardio. I'm not going to go too much into actually integrating the breathing work you're going to learn in this with cardio. That's something I do with clients. So if you want to continue to progress this, please do reach out and we can talk about what those options look like for you. We're going to build your foundation so that you can finally actually enjoy movement and exercise and fitness. You'll be able to finally increase your fitness. So if you've been kind of stuck at one point, if you just cannot seem to get past a certain point, this stuff should help you. And the best part about especially the work we're going to do today and tomorrow, because we are working on breathing, you're actually going to start noticing an improvement in your energy, decreased brain fog, and a decrease in stress, which is always like super win. Yay. So also, I know some of you guys had marked on the poll from like, it was last week or the week before, but that you deal with like urine leaking from running or jumping or sneezing, coughing, that sort of thing. Ladies, this is like, so many women have to deal with this, especially if you've had kids or if you've done high impact sports, and it doesn't have to be this way forever. It's common, but not normal. I always love to make that differentiation. It can be common, but it's still not normal. It's a sign of a dysfunctional pelvic floor. Now, there are pelvic health physical therapists that really specialize in correcting that. I always recommend working with them. My pelvic PT was magic and just amazing. And actually, a lot of what we covered in this week is stuff that she and I developed together, which is a lot of fun. But I definitely encourage you, if you are dealing with this, to seek help from a pelvic health PT. But what you're going to learn over today and tomorrow especially will still help you bring awareness to what is going on with your pelvic floor so that you can at least start correcting that. But I just have to have that disclaimer, like I'm not a pelvic PT, and so I cannot diagnose and treat that particular thing, but I'm going to give you tools that will get you started. So, and then of course, the whole like big goal of all this, besides like healing and strengthening your core, it's you're doing that so that you can injury-proof your body and finally feel comfortable and amazing in your body, because that's what everyone should get to enjoy. It's wonderful. Okay, so quickly, and then we're going to get started over on the mat. So hopefully you guys have a mat, or at least somewhere comfy to sit down, because we're just going to be sitting this whole time. You can also sit in a chair too, if you're more comfortable. So for those of you guys who don't know me so well, who are new, I'm Jess Rowe. I'm a holistic health and fitness coach, and this is what I do. I love helping people find easier ways of moving their bodies, nourishing their bodies, improving their energy, and increasing their stress resilience. That is what I love doing. The reason being, I spent my entire life going through the trial and error and the chronic pain and the fatigue of living with an undiagnosed genetic hypermobility disorder. But I also just was feeling sick and tired, and I was sick and tired of feeling that way my entire life and being told by doctors and all kinds of people that, oh, there's nothing wrong with you, you just have to toughen up. So I have done the trial and error, and my goal is to show you guys what works and what doesn't, so that you can not have to spend 20, 30, 40 years throwing spaghetti at the wall trying to figure out what works for you. So that's my goal, is to really help provide you with the guidance that you need to find what is right for you, because like what's right for me might not be right for you. What's right for a friend might not be right for you, you know. So we want to find what's right for you, shorten that learning curve, and get you feeling as amazing as you can, so that you have the energy and the strength and the vitality to actually live out your soul's purpose. I'm very soul aligned oriented, and I believe that we're all here for a purpose, and we need to have this health and energy to be able to do it. I know I couldn't fathom doing what I do now several years ago when I was, living with this unmanaged disorder. So this core challenge is going to combine all the things that I've learned through my own experience, through getting my master's in exercise science and health promotion, through becoming a corrective exercise specialist and working and developing with my PT, as well as my experience as a pre- and postnatal coach. So I hope this is going to be a pretty helpful, informative, life-changing kind of challenge. So all that to say, let's go get on the mat. And we're kind of chasing the light too. The light is like coming down behind me. So I'm going to try to keep this short and sweet and get us going. So, you know what? Let me get a sip of my tea. All right. So again, if you guys cannot hear me because these are not working or something, please drop me a little comment. Let me make sure my comments are actually coming through. Ha! There we go. All right, Amina, you're relaxing following a walk on Saturday, so taking it easy since you're really sore and your trigger points are all upset. Okay, this is going to be a great day for you then, because we're not doing any like activating stuff. We're just doing the breathing and releasing. So, yes, and yes, you can do today's work while sitting. Lying down and getting up is difficult. Yeah, we're doing it all sitting today. So you can do it like in a chair or on the floor, however you're most comfortable. Absolutely any position of comfort for you that works. So, all right, let's do this. So today, day one is all about really reconnecting with your core. We need to identify those tight spots and those weak spots so that we can actually correct dysfunction. And we're going to, and we're going to work on breathing and moving your core properly, because this is really the foundation that you have to have in place before you do the strength training, because strength training is really focused on contracting your muscles, right? And all muscles, especially your core muscles, are meant to not just contract, but to also expand. And it's through this contraction and expansion, this rhythmic movement that your muscles are supposed to do, that you get pain relief, that you feel good, that movement becomes more than just like a forced exercise. It becomes this beautiful, just expansive and almost spiritual experience. I'm big on that. I think all movement should feel good. And so we're going to really dive into this duality of expansion and contraction today so that we can actually rebalance everything that's going on in there, because everybody has tight spots and weak spots, and the worst is when you get a tight and a weak spot. That's all in one. Those are the tricky ones that really tend to cause the most dysfunction. So we're going to work on identifying those. Reason being too, like, you want to have that duality, right? You want to be able to expand, you want to contract. But the biggest issue, especially with these other core challenges that are just like 30 minutes of intense core work that really just work on these externals, they're only focusing on the contracting part. And when you start contracting muscles and trying to forcibly strengthen muscles that are already tight, you can probably imagine what happens. That's when the muscles break, right? Like, that's when injury and pain happens. And so we don't want to start strengthening your core without correcting those tight spots and weak spots first. Because the problem is too, your bodies are very smart, and they will always go with the path of least resistance. So that means if you have dysfunction, if you have spots that are too tight and spots that are too weak, your body's generally going to prefer to just follow the path of continuing to use those muscles that are already tight and just kind of let the weak ones just fall to the side while the tight ones pick up the slack. And of course, that's just exacerbating the problem. So what we really want to do, especially today and tomorrow, is identify where you're tight, where you're weak, bring that awareness to those areas so that as I take you through the next few days, you're able to actually correct those and build up those weak spots, release those tight spots, and start really allowing your core to expand and contract the way it's meant to. And that's going to relieve all of those problem areas for you. So, all right, that's why we're doing what we're doing today. So again, just to make sure that we're on the same page, today is not going to be like strength work at all. Today is really focused on breathing and just being in with your core. So we're going to be using breathing for all of this, because the breath is what allows you to expand, because your core muscles are your breathing muscles. And so the best way to expand them is to allow your breath to come in and just expand it for you. It creates this really gentle and natural massage that really, it does all the work for you. You don't have to, because I mean, you can't have a massage therapist go in and like massage the muscles on the inside of your spine. Like, that's not going to work. So we're going to use your breath to do the work for you, because it starts at the inside and works its way up and it gets you expanding. So let's start. So start sitting. We're going to start by just kind of talking through how your core is meant to move, and then we're going to work our way in and find out how yours is actually moving and how we can correct that. So get yourself seated wherever it's comfortable for you, whether it's on the floor, in the chair. However, if you want to sit on the floor with like a cushion under you, whatever works. I want you comfortable so that we can actually dive into all of this. So first things first, just like, you can scoot your butt a little side to side. Make sure you can feel those sit bones on whatever you are sitting. You want to make sure you can do that. And then we're going to arch your back. So you can see this better this way. So you're going to arch your back like you're trying to tip that pubic bone forward. And then you're going to roll it back like you're trying to touch your tailbone to the ground. And then you want to kind of find your middle spot, where you're right in between that pubic bone and the tailbone. You don't really want to be putting pressure on those. You just want to feel those sit bones and then that nice fleshy space in between them. So from here, once we're there, ideally your head, neck, shoulders, and everything is just stacked very comfortably over the hips. You're not straining to hold yourself upright. If you are straining, find that position of comfort where you can comfortably either sit upright or even potentially lay down. So we're going to start by talking about how your diaphragm and your pelvic floor coordinate, because your diaphragm is, of course, like your main breathing muscle, right? And that diaphragm actually works in sync with your pelvic floor. So you're kind of in tune with your pelvic floor already just by bringing that awareness to that fleshy space between those two sit bones. So when you inhale, your diaphragm is going to pull down to make room for those lungs expanding, right? Your diaphragm pulls down and your pelvic floor pulls down too. So they move in sync together, right? So your diaphragm descends, pelvic floor descends as you inhale. And then as you exhale, they both come back up. They actually contract as you exhale. Sorry, diaphragm does not contract. Ignore me. But yes, they both come back up as you exhale. So that is what is happening when you breathe, right? What else is happening when you breathe is your ribs. Ideally, this is what they're meant to do. This is where the problem's going to be for you guys. Your ribs are meant to move as well. So your ribs actually are designed to expand in all directions. So they're meant to expand forward, to the side, and then to the back. And so when you breathe, you're actually getting this complete 3D expansion of everything from your diaphragm down. Everything is expanding and opening. And then as you exhale, everything contracts and squeezes in and presses that air back out. So that's how you're meant to breathe. Now, think about all the muscles that connect in here. And if they are not moving like they're meant to, imagine what kind of constriction and pain and tightness can happen from that. So what we're going to work on then is actually finding those tight spots on you and identifying those weak spots, and I'll show you how to breathe properly so you can actually start using that gentle massage to bring relief and some stability. So for you, let's start with that rib movement. So you're going to take your hands, thumbs go kind of on those back ribs, and fingers are on your side ribs. So I want you first, just relax here and relax those shoulders down as best you can. And I want you just to take one nice, slow, deep breath in and notice what's happening with your hands. I want you to notice if you actually feel your hands move, if you feel your ribs move under your hands or not. So go ahead and take a nice deep breath in and release. So notice if your ribs pressed against your hands, if you felt any movement under your thumbs, if you felt more movement in your shoulders. Just start noticing where that movement is happening. So most often, very few people actually get that rib movement. So if you noticed that your ribs did not move when you took that nice breath in, then you have now identified one of your tight spots. You can also identify your tight spots. Obviously, if you are dealing with any pain points, you can write those down. There is actually a space in the workbook where you can kind of make note of these things. So those are your tight spots, right? You've recognized that you have constriction maybe in your ribs, and then we're going to check another couple spots too. So go ahead and just relax, and I'm going to actually have you put one hand on a rib and one hand right below your belly button on that lower belly. And this time you're going to take a breath in, and I want you to try to visualize that diaphragm and that pelvic floor. So as you inhale, remember they're supposed to come down, and then as you exhale, they're supposed to come back up. You can close your eyes if you want, but I want you to try to visualize those and see if you can perceive if they are moving, okay? So go ahead and take a deep breath in and release. So if you didn't feel any just gentle pressure downward in that fleshy space between your sit bones, it's very possible you're also tight in the pelvic floor. Often, especially if you are dealing with the urine leaking issue, it's usually because you've got a hypertonic, which is like an overly tight pelvic floor that's not expanding the way it's supposed to. So if you did not feel that that release down as you inhale, and then that pressure, it should be gentle pressure, you're not trying to, create an issue down here, but you should be able to feel at least some gentle pressure, maybe a little expansion in those hips, in that space between the hip bones. And if you didn't feel that, then you've probably got a tight pelvic floor as well. So if you've got tight ribs, tight pelvic floor, basically those are not expanding the way they're meant to when you're breathing. So which way is the air going to go? It's going to go to where you're weakest, which is probably going to be either belly, shoulders, if your shoulders are raising a lot as you breathe. And then if you actually have a weak pelvic floor that's not super tight, you might actually feel all the pressure down there if you're not getting any movement in like shoulders or ribs. So you might feel just a ton of pressure down there. It might not even feel safe to take a big, deep inhale. So those are going to be, you've got your tight spots wherever you're not getting that movement like we talked about. You want that full rib expansion front to back. You want the pelvic floor expansion, the diaphragm descending, and really your shoulders should just kind of stay mostly relaxed. So make a note of where you are tight. So tight is going to be wherever you're not getting that rib expansion. And then, of course, any spots where you regularly deal with pain, discomfort, tightness. So those are going to be all your tight spots. We're going to work on sending your breath into those areas here in a little bit. And then you have hopefully identified some of your weak spots. So when you take a nice big deep breath in, are you getting a lot of shoulder movement? Are you getting a lot of belly expansion, but not really any rib movement? Or are you feeling a ton of pressure in that pelvic floor area? So those are going to be your weak spots, and you can make note of that too in the workbook. Let me get a drink and check if there's comments. Nope, not yet. Okay. All right, so now, like I'd mentioned earlier, you don't fix tight and weak spots, and this one might be kind of counterintuitive. You think weak, I need to strengthen it. We're going to work on that here in the next few days, but first you have to correct those tight spots because, again, your muscles follow that path of least resistance. So if you have tight spots already, it makes it very hard to calm them down enough so that you can actually address the weak spots. So first we have to calm down those tight spots. So you don't calm down tight spots with strength exercises, right? So you fix those, especially in the core area, those deep, it's a deep issue when you have tight spots with your core. You fix that with breathing because obviously a massage therapist cannot get in there to fix a lot of those spots. Like a well-trained PT or a well-trained massage therapist can get in for some of them, but not all. So we're going to fix those with breathing starting today. So breathing, I'm sure many of you guys have had this experience too, where you're like, well, what is breathing? You're told to breathe diaphragmatically. And unfortunately, what that usually ends up happening is people become belly breathers, where they're just trying to like expand through their belly, which is, I mean, it's great. It relaxes your shoulders, so then you don't get all the neck tightness, but you're still not getting rib movement. So it doesn't fix the problem. It just moves it around. So what I like to call proper breathing is 3D breathing because it really gives you that picture, right? You are supposed to be getting full expansion in all directions, front to back, side to side, and even top and bottom, right? So we're going to be working on 3D breathing, and the one that I didn't teach in the last core challenge, and I'm still scratching my head as to why I didn't teach it, but it's the connection breath. And the connection breath is probably the most important thing, especially for pregnant women or new moms, and also if you have any level of pelvic floor dysfunction. You've got to have the connection breath. You have to be connected to your core, especially how your pelvic floor and diaphragm are moving. So for starters, you can close your eyes, and we're going to first just take a nice, slow, deep breath. This is the technique that you're going to be using to use your breath to open up all the tight spots. So, but for starters, we're going to start with that pelvic floor. So close your eyes and first bring your awareness into those sit bones and that fleshy space in between them, right? That perineum. That's the pelvic floor if you move inside the body. So bring your awareness there and just try to relax. As you take a nice slow inhale, I want you to imagine that space between your sit bones very gently expanding and releasing and spreading and maybe pressing very gently into the floor or whatever you're sitting on. And go ahead and exhale, nice passive exhale, just let the air release. And that's your connection breath, okay? So all you're doing is connecting to what is happening as you breathe. And then we're going to add in the rib movement too. So let's try one more connection breath, and you guys can let me know how it feels. We're going to do this, and then I'll kind of come back to the computer so that I can check in on any comments. So that's your connection breath. So as you inhale, you're really feeling that expansion and release in that pelvic floor and that space between your sit bones. And you feel it gently press into the mat, and then you can exhale. So especially if you have the urine leaking issue, and if you're pregnant, do not worry about trying to create a squeeze or a kegel as you exhale. Those are very overused. And remember, the whole point of today is that we are expanding using the breath. We're not trying to strengthen yet. So I'll talk more about when and where kegel type contractions might be appropriate on another day. If you have questions, though, please do let me know. Now we're going to do the 3D breathing. So go ahead and bring those hands to your ribs. So hopefully you've gotten a little connection with that pelvic floor, with that connection breath. And now we can add in the rest of that 3D canister. So fingers are in your ribs, thumbs are on the back ribs. Relax those shoulders, give them a little shake. And you're going to take a very nice, slow, deep breath in, and you're going to try to imagine pressing those ribs out into your hands to create that expansion that you're missing. So inhale and exhale. Feel those ribs pull back down. All right, so let me know if you're struggling with this. I'm going to show you guys a couple options for if you're really not getting that rib movement. So first things we're focusing on is getting just side-to-side rib movement. So you can even check if you're not sure you're getting any belly movement, you can start here. And so you inhale, and you should feel that belly and those front ribs start to expand forward. So check in on that. We're good there, hopefully. Then side ribs, inhale. See if you get some movement side to side. Go ahead and exhale. And so if you're struggling to get the side-to-side rib movement, don't even stress about the back rib movement because it starts front and then moves to the back. So you got to get that front movement, then the side movement, and then the back movement will come as you practice this more over the next days and weeks. And so what you can do as well is give yourself the biofeedback, this little counter pressure. So you just very gently squeeze those hands in like you're trying to squeeze your ribs, right? And that way when you go to inhale, it really helps you expand those ribs a little bit more and just bring a little more awareness to whether or not they're expanding. So that's what you're going to be practicing for starters. You want to bring that expansion to the ribs and bringing that awareness to the pelvic floor as well. So that's going to take a little practice, especially if you're very, very tight and constricted. So I want to show you a couple options for really getting a little more movement in the side and back ribs. And then that's what you're going to be practicing today is breathing. So the other thing you can work on, especially if you have a lot of tightness in the back or shoulders or hips, is when you go to take your inhale, close your eyes and really bring your awareness to those spots that are giving you issues. And you're going to inhale and just don't forcibly expand it, but I want you to inhale and imagine that you're very gently sending that breath into that area and allowing it to just slowly release. And you might notice you have to do like 10 breaths before you start getting any like movement in there. But the more you practice it, the more relief you will get, the more relief you'll get. So if you are struggling with just sitting here with your hands on your ribs, the other way you can do this is you can lay down on your side. I know this light is starting to get icky. I'm sorry, guys. Let's see if adjusting it down at all helps. Okay, so you can lay down on your side, and this is for getting more side rib movement. So you can have a pillow or your arm to support your head. So you're going to bring those knees up. You're trying to basically block the belly. So you could even put a pillow here if you need, but you want to block the belly so that you're not expanding as much through your belly. It kind of forces your body to not follow the path of least resistance, right? It's going to have to find another direction, which is going to be right here. So once you've got your legs tucked up or you have a pillow there, and you can't expand your belly as much, you can put your hands on those side ribs, use that counter pressure, press it down a little bit, and then take your inhale and feel those ribs move up. And exhale. So try it one more time. And exhale. Good. So hopefully that helps a little with the side rib movement. And then the other option I have for you for getting your back ribs moving more, if you're getting good side rib movement, but you're not really sure about the back ribs, and they are kind of hard to tell. So don't stress too much about the back ribs. But if you do have a lot of tightness in your back, so you can do this sitting. I do prefer to do it kneeling if your knees can tolerate it, because doing it sitting, so ideally you'd be sitting like this and maybe with like a block or something under your butt. And again, you're using your knees to block off your belly. But the problem with this one is your ankles and your legs and your hip flexors love to get really active and start squeezing to try to like hold you up and stuff. And that's not helpful. You're just moving the tightness around. And so if you can tolerate it on your belly or on in a kneeling position, I definitely recommend doing that. So it's the same concept. You're just going to come down into this little child's position, and you can rest your head either on the mat or bring like a block or a pillow up to support your head so you can relax. You can have your hands on your back, or you can just relax too, because we're not wanting to tighten up your neck and shoulders too much. But from here, you're like really nicely blocked now, right? So from here, you can check and see if your side ribs are expanding. Inhale, and then exhale, and then you can either again relax, or you can actually put your hands on those back ribs. And then take an inhale and notice if your back expands at all. Try to bring that awareness to it. You could have a partner watch you as well, and they could even put their hand on your back and see if they can feel their hand moving at all as you do your inhales and exhales. And so those are all the ways that you can start really practicing and getting that movement to get that 3D breathing expansion. So take today and practice this, because this breathing style is what fixes side stitches when you are trying to run. It's what fixes that sensation of not being able to breathe or not get enough air when you're exercising, especially during cardio. And it even helps correct brain fog that you might get and the low energy, because believe it or not, if you're not getting the oxygen that you need because you're not breathing properly, it will result in your brain just not functioning as well as it could. It can show up as brain fog and low energy. And then, of course, as you are practicing this breathing, like I said, if you have spots that you know about, like if you have chronic low back pain or chronic hip pain, send that breath into that area and allow it to just gently expand. You're not forcing it to expand. You're gently expanding. You're allowing the breath to do the work for you. And over time with practicing this, it will get better and better and better. And so that is it for today. So practice this. I always recommend doing like 10 to 20 breaths and doing it multiple times a day. So even shoot for 3 times today. Like do it right now, do it after lunch, and then do it this afternoon or this evening before bed. This is also a great way to wind down before bed. So let me check. Inch my way over here. Let's check these comments. Awesome. Okay, so if you guys have questions, do let me know. I'm gonna sip of tea over here. All right. So yeah, let me know how this felt for you. If you have questions, okay, no, you're good. You think the thing you struggle with is not having my pelvic floor tighten up. Or then the back of your ribs tense up. Okay, when do you notice them tensing up? Because that can be super helpful, because a lot of times we tend to kind of take things to the extreme, right? Whether it's strengthening or even breathing. So with strengthening, a lot of times I see people, they're like trying to do maximal contractions, right? And the same thing tends to happen with breathing as well, where like instead of just allowing your breath to kind of move you, you're kind of trying to like breathe and expand and like really force it to expand. And so that can create kind of that reflexive reaction, right, of stuff then tightening up. So let me know like if it's on the inhale or if it's on the exhale. Let's see, it's usually in the inhale or the end. Yeah, so basically don't inhale as much. Try that and let me know if that helps at all. So what you're trying to do, you're not trying to take like the deepest inhale possible. So go ahead and just sit nice and still. You can close your eyes even, and then just watch your breath. And this, it can almost be like a meditation, but you're just watching your breath. You're totally forcing the inhale. Yeah. So imagine, so the inhale that you're doing, imagine that is your 100%, right? You're aiming for like a 40%, like somewhere between maybe 40 and 60%. And if you're forcing it, just aim for 40. Just make it easy. So as you're sitting there, just inhale and watch the inhale. So you're just basically allowing the breath to come into your body. And so you aren't telling the breath what to do. Your breath is telling you what to do. The breath comes in as far as it wants to, and then it just releases when it's ready. So try to, and it's so hard to release that control, because that's really all it is kind of redefining the relationship that you have between your breath and your body and your brain. So normally, like, your brain wants to be in charge, and it wants to say how much you inhale and how much you expand and all of that. Your brain thinks it knows best, but in this case, your body and your breath know best. So what you want to do is tell your brain that your only job right now is to watch and learn, and you're going to allow that breath and your body the space to just inhale as it feels best. So you can sit here. I'm going to stop talking for a bit so I can actually like do it. So you just inhale. And right when you hit that point where you would need to start like pulling in that air more, that's where you stop. That's your full inhale. And then you release. So you allow yourself to expand only as much as you can while that inhale is passively coming in. And then you just release, hands off. So this is definitely like a watch and learn kind of exercise, because you have to give your breath and your body back the power so that it can do the work that needs to be done, because it's your breath and your body that know what needs to happen, and your brain's not been listening to them. And so that's where you're getting that struggle still and that continued tightness. So try that. And it might feel like you're just not doing enough. Like, how can you possibly be releasing anything? But if you can practice this, especially today and then over this whole week, you should start getting some really incredible relief with that. But let me know too, like what you come back with as you start doing this and practicing it. So yeah, Tula, you're forcing the inhale too. Yeah, everyone raise your hands if you're forcing the inhale. So I know it's a challenge. It's hard to release it. Let's see, interesting, when you try to do 40%, then your pelvic floor stays tightened, but not your ribs. Okay, awesome. Well, that's improvement, right? Pelvic floor too, especially if you were like chronically tight and you've had that history of the SI joint issue. So there's a lot of guarding that's happening in there. So if you start with just your ribs not tightening up, that's great. Yes, practice, practice, practice. Keep it up. It will start working its way through. Just really work on your relearning and redefining your relationship here with your breath and your core. So practice and let me know how it goes. We'll be checking in here over the next few days too. So that is it for today's practice. Let me know, you guys, if any more questions come up for you. And then, of course, just a reminder, because we're doing the giveaway. I love doing the giveaways because the coaching calls are like my favorite part. So you guys can get the First prize is the 60-minute goal setting session with me, where we'll come up with a 4-week plan for you, and you get the custom nutrition guide. Second place is the 30-minute coaching call with me plus the custom nutrition guide. That's where we'll kind of talk about whatever your big problem is right now, create a game plan for it. And then third place is the custom nutrition guide. And Tula, you can you can vouch for this, that the goal setting session is pretty magical. It's great. So that's it. And then two, if you can kind of take your winning into your own hands too. If you want those goal setting sessions or the coaching calls, for every friend you invite that joins, you get 15 minutes of time with me. So if you invite 2 friends, you can get that 30-minute coaching call. If you invite 4 friends, you get the hour-long coaching call. So invite your friends, let them know if this is helpful. Let me know if this is helpful. And then I'm going to be putting up a post later today where you can share your biggest takeaway, and that gets you more points and entries into the giveaway as well. So that is it for now, you guys. Let me know how it goes. If you have any follow-up questions, you know where to find me. So, and then I will hopefully see you tomorrow. I'm feeling better today, but you never know. My goal is definitely to do this again tomorrow, though. So, all right, guys, have a beautiful day and get some rest. Have a lovely time. All right, bye, guys.